Happy New Year. I wish you all a wonderful year ahead. My year is getting off to an interesting start because, as you know, because you've clicked on this video, we will be listening to Prince with the song 1999. Now look, I confess, I don't know Prince well at all. He is another one of those huge names that I just did not have much exposure to growing up. I feel like I've been saying that a lot in my recent videos, but it is a good thing. What better way to discover these artists than through these videos with you here able to educate me in the comments? So I won't spend much more time talking. Let's just get straight into it. Feel free to let me know in the comments any fun and interesting things about Prince. I know he was quite a character. Anything I say that might be incorrect. This song, despite its name, came out in 1982. Prince would have been 24 at the time. 1999 was 26, 27 years ago, and this was 17 years before that. Wow. Wow, this is really interesting and not what I expected. I mean, I didn't really expect anything because I don't really know Prince. I looked up the lyrics beforehand, and according to them, the chorus is when it says like 2000 or something. We haven't had that yet. So let's listen some more until we get the chorus, and then I will give my initial thoughts.
Say 2000 party over, out of time.
Okay, it is, truthfully honest, when the song started, you're in that element of surprise, especially when you are not familiar with an artist's work. And as someone who likes to take a dive into the music, talk about the harmony and everything, well, I'll get onto that in a second, but this is, yeah, it's just not what I expected at all. We've been listening for, what, 1.5 minutes. And in that 1.5 minutes, the song has grown on me tremendously. Usually it would take 2 or 3 listens, or maybe even 4 or 5, maybe even 10. When it first started, I was thinking, okay, might have just been the surprise. But yeah, it's growing on me. It's really, really catchy. So why is it catchy? This song is all about the rhythms. And why it's all about the rhythms? Well, it's not about the harmony. And let me try and explain why. So we get this introduction, which is kind of introducing us to the chords. And within there, you can hear a few lines in the synth. Is one, and everything we've heard there is basically the song. That's pretty much the chords that we hear. The chorus is slightly different. But in the first couple of verses, that's it. There is kind of an additional chord. Let me find a moment. I love that dancing as well. Super catchy.
I was dreaming when I wrote this, forgive me if it goes astray.
On Forgive Me there, that chord is a little bit different. But otherwise, that's it. We really only basically get one chord. So let me hop over to the keyboard and show you. Don't worry if you can't read the piano or know what the notes are. I'll try and guide you through it. The whole song, we can hear this. F, underneath everything, it's always there. And that's because we are in F major. That's the key. So that's the root chord. And to put it simply in the synth, what we're hearing is the F chord, notes 1, 3, and 5. So we immediately go from here to there, which is a suspension. because the third note is lifted, suspended. As you can see, it says sus4, that means suspended. And the suspended fourth note, you typically expect to move down, but it doesn't. We get, and then it moves up. That's not all though, because earlier I said that there was one part that went, is one. So if we add that in, and you'll notice that the chords are suddenly starting to get a bit more scrunchy. They're not just simple now, we're getting all these clashes, these dissonances, which is causing tension in the music. Additionally, the F at the bottom never moves. Then the chord that I said was slightly different on Forgive.
Was dreaming when I wrote this. Forgive me if it goes astray.
We can really hear the dissonance, right? It sounds much more unnatural.
Forgive me if it goes.
And that's because their melody is going. So they're 2 of 3 notes of a new chord, which is this one. So, but that initial chord is being played at the same time. So altogether we're hearing every single note pretty much of the scale is being played at the same time. So no wonder it sounds very, very dissonant. I took a little dive there into the changes that we're getting in the harmony, if you can call them changes, but overall it's pretty much one chord, that chord of F that we're hearing all the way through. So if you're not having chord changes to really help with the flow of a song, how do you make it interesting? The rhythms. I can tell Prince is a master of this.
Goes astray.
Just the offbeats, the syncopations, when that wah, wah type of sound is coming in. The silences in between the notes that we're hearing are hugely important, because then when we do hear the notes, the music, the sounds, often they're staccato, these disjointed rhythms, cha, so it exaggerates them more. I was surprised that Prince wasn't singing from the start. First we had the lady or ladies, I don't know who they are, and then we had the guy with the kind of Japanese headband. Prince had a band, I guess, so they're his band members, I will assume. Anyway, then Prince comes in.
Sky was all purple, there were people running everywhere.
Purple seems to be a huge theme. The guitars were purple, the other outfits are purple. Him in his purple coat. Sir Hairless is also purple themed. So if you're a Prince fan, you have to subscribe to my channel. That's just how it works. I don't make the rules.
Say 2000 party over, oops, out of time.
They're those new chords in the chorus, and we can hear how it changes the song. Suddenly it feels like, oh, we're going to be moving somewhere. There's sustained notes underneath everything. A sense of harmonic direction, but no, it lasts about 5 seconds, and then we're back to this motif over and over and over. That just gets us completely in the groove. It's really catchy. All right, let's carry on and see what happens in the rest of it.
I was dreaming when I wrote this, so sue me if I go too fast.
Life is just a party and parties weren't meant to last.
War is all around us, my mind says prepare to fight. So if I gotta die, I'm gonna listen to my body tonight. Yeah, they say 2000 party over, oops, out of time. So tonight, gonna party like it's 1999. Yeah. If you didn't come to party,
So, as I said in the intro, and I'm pausing again, by the way, because if I don't pause, I just play the song all the way through, my video is much more likely and much more applicable to be removed, because it's just a listening or viewing alternative, and my video is not that. I want to give my thoughts, make sure that I'm adding some value to this. So, yeah, as I said in the intro, I don't really know Prince. It is a crime, I know, I'm very much aware. We can't all know everyone's music. I always assumed he had a crazy voice, like Michael Jackson. I assumed that he could sing super, super high and showed a massive range in his songs. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because of gender fluidity. Women naturally have higher voices than men, and I always thought Prince was quite gender fluid, or androgynous at least. So maybe I'm wrong there, maybe I'm not, I don't know, let me know. But in this song so far, we have not really heard any sort of extremities in the vocals. If this was a completely unknown artist and you showed me this song without me seeing anything, I would say, oh, this song is about the writing of the song rather than the actual performance. I think it's a very cleverly written song because at its core, musically, with the harmony, it's just a lot of repetition. And that's not a bad thing. Repetition, when done well, is very, very catchy. Maybe that's his style. Again, let me know if his songs are greatly different in style, but that's the case here, and it's all to do with the rhythms and when one instrument will just come in briefly. There was a clever case earlier where we got a drone note coming in there, just sustaining, and I was thinking, oh, this is not that F we had before. What's going to happen? And then it just cuts off. Then we get this groovy lick. And then we're just back into the you know, so rhythmic. And I mentioned earlier how the chorus has different chords, which kind of separates it from the rest of the song, but unites it as well because of the rhythms that are very consistent throughout the whole song, irrespective of verse or chorus. If you enjoy these videos or find them helpful, please consider supporting me. Patreon has a bunch of exclusive benefits, behind the scenes videos, additional reaction content, Q&A videos, and more. For a one-time donation, you can donate me a hot chocolate at the Buy Me a Coffee link, or become a YouTube member for these groovy emojis and membership badges. And a huge thank you to these lovely people on the screen now. One other thing I like about it is the rhythms on 1999, because prior to the previously in the chorus, we've been getting
Party over, oops, out of time.
out of time.
So tonight, gonna party like it's not
And I don't know about you, but first time hearing this, I was just expecting it to repeat 1999. But
1999.
that slight elongation, 1999, very small touch, and maybe you didn't notice it or don't think it's anything worth mentioning, but I do. I think catchy music, you know a song's catchy when you immediately want to start singing along, and this is a first time listen. Even when the first chorus was happening, I was already finding myself wanting to sing along. I felt familiar with it. I knew the word coming up was 1999. Maybe I even mouthed in the video, I don't know, I'll check when I edit.
Gonna party like it's 1999.
So it's a nice element of surprise in a weird way, even though I got done over by it. It's kind of a Michael Jackson-ism, I suppose. I am just much more familiar with MJ than I am with Prince. I can imagine that they both maybe inspired each other, or I don't know, even challenged each other artistically, if there are similarities between the two. It's just always an assumption I had. Michael Jackson, larger timeline of performance, I think.
So if I gotta die, I'm gonna listen to my body tonight.
There's something really cool in a very strange way. I don't know how to describe it about the video. There's kind of movement, but there's also a lot of people being stationary, and this contrast.
So if I gotta die, I'm gonna
A lot of sharp movements. That's very in line with what we're hearing.
listen to my body tonight.
And then these two ladies, they're very kind of just softly moving up and down, barely moving. It's all part of the whole atmosphere created by the song. The video, you know, huge part. Prince clearly is a lot about aesthetic as well. I'm finding it extremely interesting. Let's carry on with the rest of the song. I can probably play to the end now.
Come to party, don't bother knocking on my door.
Nice back.
Got the line in my pocket, and baby, he's ready to roll. Yeah. Body's got a bomb, we could all die any day. But before I let that happen, I'll dance my life away. They say 2000,
1999. Yeah, really, really cool. Really cool. Not too much different in the music for that final third. Obviously, some Prince isms. And one thing that was really interesting as well, that I have noticed in a lot of music from the 80s, when they kind of sing in harmony or homophonically, so you're performing the same words at the same time in the same rhythms as other people, but one or two of you are kind of speaking or shouting, so your pitch is not as apparent as someone who's singing very melodiously.
Come to party, don't bother knocking on my door. Party like it's night, we're gonna
Knowing that they, well, and everyone else who was alive at the time making music at the time, but in this video especially because it's so, you know, just strange and groovy and funky. This was over 40 years ago, so they, I don't know how old are they here, maybe just under 30, in their 20s. They'll be in their 60s, possibly 70 now. Perhaps a tiny bit of a philosophical thing to say, and I haven't touched on the lyrics yet. Like I say, I did look up the lyrics beforehand. The premise of the song is about the potential future destruction of the world. It uses quite foreboding lyrics like Judgment Day, but him, you know, being Prince, just a chill guy, I guess, finds the positives and is just gonna party like it's the end of the millennium, which I guess was supposed to be maybe the biggest party of all time moving into year 2000. I did see a little clip of Prince saying how he wrote the song. He was in a hotel room and they saw a prediction of the future about how the world might succumb to, you know, nuclear warfare, something like that. So he decided to write a song about the positives of it all. Interestingly, in that short clip, he did talk about how he has the view that the world is kind of dominated by entropy, which I found really interesting, chaos, disorder. And this song is quite chaotic, despite being positive, which was his goal. I don't know how he's done it. Clearly an extremely talented, gifted musician. That's why he was so successful. He's managed to capture both sides of the argument there, the chaotic, crazy side, and then the joyful, groovy, funky, positive side. Really, really interesting song. Really interesting, proper introduction to Prince, I guess. And of course, really interesting start to this year. So if you made it this far, hopefully you enjoyed. Please let me know this by interacting with it, giving it a like, commenting down below either your plans for this year, or if you don't want to write any words, other Prince suggestions maybe, let's go with an emoji. How about purple, like you see on the screen now? Prince loved purple, didn't he? Once again, Happy New Year. Hope you have the best year ahead. Hopefully see you in many more of these videos, and I'll see you in the next one.